So let's talk about where or why the 4th gen, the 2024 Toyota Tacoma, is better than the 3rd generation or the previous generation Tacoma. Now don't get me wrong, I love the 3rd gens. I've had many of them. This is just a step forward, if you will, an advancement. You know, a lot of people call me a fanboy. Somebody did it recently in my Facebook group. Let me tell you, I am definitely a fan of the Toyota Tacoma, all generations, but I am definitely not a boy. All right, let's get into it here. Number 1, more headroom. I love this. No longer do I hit my head over here on the door sill area when I get in and out of the truck. I always used to have to kind of contort a little bit to get in and out, right? I don't have to do that anymore. A vast improvement over the 3rd generation Tacoma. Number 2, rear disc brakes. Now, honestly, I could care less about this one, but I had so many comments on the channel about people wanting rear disc brakes. I can't even count them. You know, we had drum brakes before, and frankly, if I'm being honest, I could have cared less. All I care about when it comes to brakes is that when I step on that pedal down there, something happens. The truck stops. And I never had any issue whatsoever stopping the truck. And I think the big argument for keeping drum brakes in the past is that for off-roading, and I think this is Toyota's main reason other than cost, was to keep gunk and stuff out of the rear brakes, right? I mean, if you're running through the mud and stuff and you're caking everything in there, you don't want the brakes covered with mud. Well, now you're gonna have that because we got what we wanted. We as a collective, not me necessarily, but we got disc brakes in the back. I don't know, I guess they match the front now. And you can paint the calipers. Maybe that's the positive for me. Next up, number 3, better fuel economy, albeit a small increase. You know, Toyota definitely didn't make the 4th gen a fuel efficient beast, right? But we do get a little bit better fuel economy, a couple 3 miles per gallon, something like that. I think in my truck right now, I'm getting, I think, right around 17.1, 17.2 miles per gallon. And that's running on eco mode. I'm kind of doing a little test right now. I don't love eco mode because it kind of dumbs down the truck a little bit. I want it to be as quick as it can be, and eco mode is not that setting. But I wanted to check, and so far I'm really not impressed. I've increased maybe 0.1 miles per gallon. Definitely not worth the loss that you get in the form of acceleration and performance to go to eco mode, in my opinion. Number 4, increased acceleration and responsiveness. Now, this is an area that Toyota took a huge leap forward with the 4th gen. You know, the 3rd gen, the way that they had it set up, it was a dog, even though it's a V6, right? Bigger engine, supposed to be more powerful. Toyota really let us down for years when it came to that, right? I mean, I had to put pedal commander on the truck just to make it fun to drive. Now, we've got instantaneous acceleration. Well, almost. I mean, to say there's no lag, that's stretching it just a bit. But nonetheless, it's so much better when it comes to acceleration and performance as compared to the 3rd gen. I don't know how you could possibly step in a 4th gen and not notice this. I think anybody that says that it's not better is either working for another company or knows nothing about acceleration. I would think it's probably working for another company. And I have had a couple of people say that. I don't know where they're coming from. It makes absolutely no sense to me. This truck gets up and goes, and it makes it fun to drive. Let's face it, when a truck is a dog and it doesn't do what you want it to do when you want it to do it, the experience is just not good. Number 5, the new and improved rear suspension. They changed the rear suspension altogether, right? And I know there's been some arguments from people on that. Some people don't like it. Some people do. Me personally, I think it's awesome. It makes the truck much smoother. The ride quality is better. And I know the argument out there is going to be, well, it's a truck. It's supposed to be rough. Why? Where is that written? That because I'm driving a truck, I can't enjoy a nice, comfortable, smooth ride. And this new Tacoma certainly has it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the third gen was horrible. I never really thought it was horrible in that respect anyway. But going to the fourth gen, it did make a heck of a difference. The change that they made in the rear suspension, definitely a step forward, certainly makes the truck more comfortable to drive. Number 6, the digital gauge cluster. Let's just say the technology altogether in the truck. The big radio screen, which by the way, I don't have in this truck. Honestly, I've been kicking around a little bit about going with a hybrid, maybe so I could get the hybrid system to test out, and also that bigger screen that's in the truck. And also, I would probably go to a 4x4 this time around, just to test it and see what it feels like. You know, there's a weight increase, the way that the 4x4 system works, that kind of a thing. But anyway, the gauge cluster, the digital gauge cluster in this truck. If there's one thing that really felt dated to me in the third gen Tacoma, it was the gauge cluster system. It just looked old. It kind of reminded me of something that I'd seen in Fords years ago. And that's not a good feeling, right? They've got it up to date. We've got all kinds of things we can look at, probably too much. But I do have one gripe, one complaint about the system. And it seems to be just my truck, or I'm doing something wrong. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. But it won't stay where I set it, particularly the tire pressure readout. I want to be able to see that all the time in the truck without having to mess with the settings and select different things. I want it to just be the default, right? I can't get my truck to do that. Every time I set it, which right now it's set right there, and by the way, for those who wonder, I'm running 37, 36 PSI in the tires. Of course, that's after driving it around for a while. I always set my tires, and they are the more aggressive aftermarket tires. I always set them at around 35, 36 PSI. I get questions about it, so there you go. Anyway, love the system otherwise. I think Toyota finally brought the Tacoma up to date when it comes to what I'm looking at while I'm driving around all the time. Awesome system. Anyway, those are just a few reasons, about 7 of them, why I think anyway, the Toyota Tacoma is definitely better than the third gen. And honestly, I don't know how you could argue any of those things. Again, I love the third gen truck. I just believe that the fourth gen is a step forward. We're not going to talk about the engine. I think the engine is fine. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the 4-cylinder turbo. I think it's just old thinking and a stigma that 4 cylinders have gotten. We shall see in the future. I don't know. I think that the engine is absolutely fine. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Why do you think the 4th gen Tacoma is better than the previous generation? I'd just be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.